Alfred the cowboy was riding along. He was playing guitar and he was singing a song. He looked at his hands, and so he saw that his left one had changed into a paw. He looked at his right, and what did he see? Well, it too was changing and would soon be. Now, how could he play guitar this way? He'd be an animal by the end of the day. But then he remembered when he was a kid, he saw the animals and did as they did. He ran and jumped and crawled on the ground. He hid in places he could not be found. Just then a vulture flew overhead, asked for the location of a goose-down bed. They're all sleeping these days, you know, and the goose-down must be as white as snow. But Alfred said no, he knew of no place, and so the bird left after growing a face. Well, Alfred could not believe what he'd seen, but now the sky was changing to green. The sand was blowing up in a storm, the sun was growing and getting quite warm. Through the wind-blown sand he peered. Out walked a man in black robes and a beard. He walked quite slowly. He leaned on a cane. There was something about him. He did not look quite sane. He raised his arms and said some words, and then the sky was filled with birds. He commanded them to land at his feet, said more words, and had the birds repeat. And then they started growing to 5 and 6 feet tall. This man with the beard was changing them all. Well, Alfred slipped off his horse and he fell. His legs and his feet were beginning to swell. He crawled away on all 4 paws, which by now were complete with claws. But let's forget about Alfred and go back to the vulture, which is obviously a bird of some acquired culture. He by now had not wings, but arms, and so was sitting on a fence between farms. He could not believe what he saw there. The chickens had not feathers, but hair. He looked around and saw much more. The cows and horses had 2 legs, not 4. The sun had melted trees and houses right down. In a matter of seconds, they were as flat as the ground, and nothing stood tall but half animal, half man. Then the skies rang out like a 40-piece band. This man in black robes stood high above all. He looked down on the land from 100 feet tall. His deep black shadow stretched far across the land. He picked up an animal to hold in his hand. The animal he held was neither man nor creature. It looked like a mutant with no distinguishing feature. Then through the skies a loud roar was heard. This man in black robes kept saying one word. "Holland, Holland, Holland," he said, then dropped the animal and held onto his head. Then some clouds formed and blocked out the sun. "Oh, whither, my brother, what have you done?" The voice was quite loud. It came from up high. This man in black robes yelled back to the sky. "I am bringing peace to this planet of mine, and before you came, I was doing just fine. So go now, my brother, and let me be, for if you don't, I will also change thee." With that, another 100-foot man appeared, but he was in white robes and long flowing beard. "Why do you wish to make this place new? The course of this planet is not up to you." "Ah, but look what man has done to this place. He has destroyed everything but his own race. This world is nothing but smog and pollution, but I, the great Wither, have begun the solution. I am changing the animals into man and giving them the chance to do what they can." "I will not let you do this, Wither, my brother. There was only one place like this. There shall be no other." With that, they both grew to enormous height. The ground was trembling as they started the fight. The sky was blackened and absent of sun. Each animal stared upwards as the fight begun. Lightning bolts flashed back and forth and back. Each one was dodging the other's attack. Then all the waters from the planet below began shooting upwards in one giant flow. They shot towards Holland with tremendous force, and try as he could not alter its course. They struck him so hard he began rolling through space. He grabbed onto a moon to hold him in place. His brother Wither was standing off far, so he reached out and whirled a flaming star. It hit Wither right in the center of his robe. There was a great burst of light, like an electronic strobe. Well, Wither was hurt, you can easily tell. He tried to stand, but only fell. And Holland did not let up with his blows, but he missed more often with more of his throws. And Wither caught some, but he did not throw back. Instead, he piled them in one large stack. "And now, dear Holland, you shall learn of my power." With that, the stars began to flower. From each star there were strands of light. They interweaved and became quite tight, and the whole outer space was just one large net. Such an awesome sight I will never forget. Then the net surrounded Holland and held him down tight. He struggled and struggled with all of his might, but try as he could not break free. Then the net shrank and shrank to the size of a bee. Then in one burst of light, it was gone in a flash. The stars all returned, and so ended the clash. Well, Alfred by now was covered with hair. His legs and his body resembled a bear. A man sat off far, it was the vulture he knew. He played a guitar, and the sky was deep blue. The birds were singing, the grass was green. I looked all around, it was a beautiful scene. Two human figures stood in a straightforward pose. They stood looking at each other as the sun rose. The silhouette of their figures was a beautiful sight, but the question remained, was all of this right? Well, Wither just stood there in his robe of black. He viewed his creation, both front and back. He liked what he saw and was proud to say, I have changed this whole planet. So begins the new day. I am the one to give this planet a new birth, and I shall call this new planet Earth. With that, his body faded into the ground. I searched for him, but not a trace could be found. So now you may ask the question, well, just who am I? I am the sun, the moon, and the sky. I was here in the beginning, and I shall stay till the end, so if you are wise, you will become my friend. At least, just listen to these words that I say. If you fail once again, there shall be no new day.